You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments below, and be sure to smash that like button. I don't think there's really a lot of ambiguity about LSU's game with Texas A&M on Saturday. Jimbo Fisher was fired. Elijah Robinson is not going to be the head coach at Texas A&M, but he's the interim coach trying to get his guys ready to go play. They were down early last week against Abilene Christian. Very bad look. And now they have to come on the road to Baton Rouge. They're changing things up a bit. Jimbo, during his time in College Station, they would always travel on Thursday, which is a really weird thing that they did, and especially considering they were so bad on the road to continue doing that and not change it up. This week, the Aggies traveled on Friday. We'll see if that makes a difference. My impression is that it won't or shouldn't. Jalen Henderson is going to play quarterback for Texas A&M on Saturday. So we won't see Max Johnson returning to Baton Rouge. It'll be Jalen Henderson, the Fresno State transfer. Interestingly enough, Bobby Petrino is coaching from the field now. He'd been coaching from the booth all season. Last week came down to the field level and will coach on the field again. I don't know if any of that is actually going to be material or matter very much. I think more so in games like this, what matters are the Jimmies and the Joes. Yes, X's and O's matter. Obviously, coaching does. It's one of the reasons that maybe the primary reason why Texas A&M gave Jimbo Fisher $76 million to go away. But A&M has some really good football players in certain spots. Not having Evan Stewart, though, in this ball game is going to be significant. The news Friday from Matt Zenitz was that the Aggies' best wide receiver did not make the trip, will not play in this game against LSU. And when you're talking about Jalen Henderson in this ball game, not having arguably his best receiving threat against an LSU team that is bad defensively, any threat that comes off of the field for an A&M offense, which hasn't been very good this year to begin with, averaging 34 points a game, which is 22nd in the country, but some of that skewed, obviously, when you put up 51 against Mississippi State or 52 against New Mexico. What we've seen with A&M is when they go on the road, they have struggled. They've lost 4 games this year, 3 of them away from home. They lost at Miami, they lost at Tennessee, they lost at Ole Miss. The Miami and Ole Miss games are the 2 highest point totals that they've given up all year. They gave up 48 to Miami, which did include a kickoff return for a touchdown, and they gave up 38 against Ole Miss. And in that Ole Miss game, Ole Miss put up 518 yards of offense. It is so hard for me to imagine this Texas A&M team, which seems to have taken its eye off the ball, focusing on this game against LSU and going all out to win it. A&M is bowl eligible. They could certainly put a damper on Jaden Daniels' Heisman candidacy with a great defensive performance. I just think that this is less about A&M and more about LSU's offense and Jaden Daniels. LSU's defense isn't good. And A&M, even without Evan Stewart, is going to put together drives, and they're going to score points because everyone does. Jalen Henderson hasn't played a lot of football in his career, but had a nice day last week against Abilene Christian after they got down early. They ended up winning 38-10. And yes, A&M's going to move the ball, and they're going to score against LSU because everybody moves the ball and scores against LSU. And they've got Anaya Smith and some really good players. And some of those really good players will make plays. It's just that LSU has the best player in college football who is going to make more plays. I don't worry about the 11 a.m. kickoff. LSU played arguably its most complete game of the season at 11 a.m. at Mississippi State. They played Missouri at 11 a.m. in Como, and that's their best win of the season. And in both of those, the commonality is LSU's offense got going. And I think they will Saturday against Texas A&M as well. The key for the game, A&M's defensive front seven is really good. They're first in the country in tackles for loss with 8.5 per game. They're second in the country in sacks, 3.6 sacks per game. They got 40 sacks on the year. So really active, talented A&M defensive front. LSU's offensive line has got to be up to the challenge. But similar to 2019 when that LSU offensive line won the Joe Moore Award as the best offensive line in football, so much of their shortcomings were covered up by Joe Burrow's ability to create, to improvise, and to overcome those mistakes. And that's what we've seen Jaden Daniels do all year. LSU's offensive line has allowed the second fewest tackles for loss all season. And yes, that's because LSU's got a very talented veteran offensive line, but they also got a quarterback who erases a lot of mistakes that you may make because of his ability to escape and improvise. And I think LSU will do that again. A&M's going to move the ball and score. LSU's going to move the ball and score more. Give me LSU 41-31 to beat Texas A&M, to get to 9 wins, and Jaden Daniels to have another big day to do all he can do to push his Heisman candidacy forth. I like the Tigers to beat the Aggies Saturday morning in Tiger Stadium. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.